Hey guys, welcome to today's analysis where we're going to break down the markets and I'll show you a few insights that I'm looking at and what I'm expecting to see out of the market this week. This week is a hot week. We have a lot of news coming out. Having started a new month, the month of May, we have interest rates from a lot of the banks. We started yesterday, Tuesday, with the Reserve Bank of Australia. Today, later on, we have from the FEDS, and most of the forecast from a lot of people, they're anticipating a 0.5 basis increase from 0.5 to 1%. That's more or less 0.25 to 0.5 basis points. And then later on in the week, we have interest rates from England, the BOE Bank of England. Okay, so that's what I'll be breaking down today. I'll look at a few things technically and show you what I'm anticipating. Apart from that, I hope you enjoy and learn from my analysis. So let's get down to it. So there we go. So you can see what you're seeing on my chart or on my screen. This is more or less Forex Factory as well as trading economics, depending on which one you're more familiar with. Okay, but what I'm looking at, you can see we have the red highlights, which is basically just showing us what is important to watch. And as you can see, we have a lot of these red highlights because it's a new week, a new month, and a lot of what we're seeing is especially the interest rates. Okay, interest rate decisions. As I said, today we're having from the FOMC, Federal Reserve, from the Feds, and tomorrow we'll have from the BOE, the Bank of England, and we'll end it there for the week. Something that I forgot to mention as well, we can see down here, we'll also be having non-farm payrolls from the United States, which, if you know, this is a very, very important data that people are paying attention to. So apart from that, what am I looking at technically? So technically, let's start with USD card. It's what just popped up by default, and this is the daily chart. So what I'm looking at on the daily chart is a lot of where market has been at the moment. It's really been consolidating. Market hasn't, in the big picture narrative, hasn't really been forming a new high and new low. However, during that formation, we got a good formation of sort of like a flag formation within this level between the 1.2950 and the 1.2460 support level. Okay, so market to got that support. I remember we talked about it last week, showing that bullish trade that we were looking at. Market went way past that target and went even higher. Okay, I remember the target we were talking about to the upside. If market was to go to the upside, we were looking at the 1.2950, which is a very strong resistance. Looking at it back, okay, it's been acting as support. Market broke it, retested it, and ever since we retested it, market hasn't been back above it, just retesting, and now we're coming towards it again. If the dollar strength continues, this can act as a very good breakout to the upside. Okay, now which will now turn from resistance, turn support. But at the moment, we're facing a bit of resistance from the sellers. Okay, you see we had the first touch here, second touch here, sort of market is trying to break out that third time, but really getting that pushback to the downside. And I covered this on the 4-hour chart. We're looking at more or less a 3-push correction at that level, which is just not a strategy I use to go against the trend, but more or less to start unwinding on the uptrend. Okay, so that's what we're looking at, which is in line with the resistance level that we're looking at, which we've just seen on the daily chart. This is the 4-hour chart. So I'll be expecting, if market can correct, at least to come back to this previous support at the 1.270 as the first target towards the downside. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. Maybe tonight interest rate will act as a catalyst to either side, either the upside or downside. But for me at the moment on this pair, I do not have any setup analysis that I'm looking to take a trade. Okay, so I'm just sitting out, watching how the market is unfolding and what patterns are going to be created out of this. Back then we had this trade over here, so once we got this trade all the way to the target at that level, that's when we sat out. And right now I don't see any pattern that I trade, but what I'm just watching is if you can get a correction from this level back to the 1.270 level. Okay, so that's on the 4-hour chart. If you go back to the daily chart, if market continues getting that dollar strength, US dollar strength, I'm looking for the 1.2950 to be broken to the upside. If not, and market corrects quite a bit, gets that deep to the downside, then I'll be looking for the 1.2620 as my first support. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on that one. If you go to my second pair that I trade, Aussie dollar, we can see Aussie dollar has had a very good bearish run ever since we got a false breakout of the 0.7 550 level, this level that you're seeing here. And why it's an important level is because it acted as a strong support previously as well as resistance. You're seeing that support over there, market broke it, got that retest, sort of what we got on USD card. Market moved lower, we got this retest in the form of a flag formation. You're seeing that, as well as a third trendline bounce, that resistance, and market shot further down, sort of creating a double bottom at this lower level. Okay, shooting back up to the 0.755, our previous resistance level. And now we are seeing how market fell with momentum after getting that sort of a false breakout, because this was a false breakout. Quickly market moved up, didn't get a strong follow through, and what happened after that, market closed back below this resistance level and market fell further down. If I go to the 4-hour chart, that's basically just what we're seeing. I'm also seeing nothing much over here. I don't have any patterns that I'm looking for at this level, okay, because I'm not seeing any down here. I'm just looking at this potential turning pattern, okay, which market can also correct, sort of like what we're seeing on USD card. It's just that this one is on the downside. So if market can correct from this level back to the 0.7220 level or the 0.720 level, can act as a good target to the upside. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on this one. Nothing much as well. I don't have any trade pattern, I don't have anything. Okay, and to go to my next pair, Dow Jones, then I'll finish up with gold and maybe do a rough analysis of the other. So let's start with the daily chart. What am I watching on this one? I'm looking for a long time move to the upside. Okay, I was looking at these pairs, the Dow Jones, S&P 500 and Nasdaq. So far of all of them, Nasdaq is one that has lost the most. If you just look at this one, it's around down 12% from the very highs. Okay, so if you look, one sec. So if you look at that, this one so far we're down about 12.16%. okay, I was comparing it to the other indexes. If you just look at it, US 500 is not down much. I think the one that is down much is Nasdaq. Okay, so if you look at this one, market is down about from the very highs about 15%. And if you go to US 100, last but not least, you'll see this one has gotten the most hit and is down about currently from the very highs about 24%, 25%, which if you're a stock trader, index trader, that is quite a big push to the downside. Okay, so if I go back to my US 30, which is down list of all these indexes or the major indexes in the United States, what I'm looking at, if we can get another further push maybe to the downside, okay, we're back to the previous level which acted as a support. Okay, if market is able to get that breakthrough to the downside, if the dollar strength continues, I'll be looking for a support level as the $31,500 mark. Okay, that's what I'll be paying a lot of attention to, around this level, more or less a region around that level. I'll be looking to see if you can get a buy position, a good risk reward of 1:5 back to the upside to the previous high at around $37,000 mark. Okay, so that's what I'll be watching on this one. If I go to the 4-hour chart, nothing much on that, just looking at a bit of a correction, but mainly I'm looking for market at least to push further down and to see if we can get a buy before we go back above the $34,000 mark, which was my previous support, was broken, now acting as resistance. So that's what I'll be watching. If market can correct, maybe back to that level before we move down, but mostly I'm paying attention to the big picture. I want to see if market can get that push at least to this level before we move up. Okay, so that's what I'm watching on this one. And last but not least, gold daily chart. This one same, almost like the US 30. Long term, if I can get sort of a short, a support level at this point, okay, I'm looking to see if I can get a buy position to push market to the upside, a good risk reward as well of 1:5 at around the between 1835 and 1825 level. Yet to see if market will spike that level later on today. If you get those interest rates, maybe get that sort of exhaustion push on the dollar, because the dollar has really been rising. But remember, at the same time also, the trend is your friend, so bet on that direction rather than go opposite. But on this one, I'm looking for this pattern that has been forming, that I have been watching, as well as this trend line that I'll be waiting to see if market can get that support at that level, offer a good buy position after candlestick close confirmation has confirmed that entry, and then we go long back to the 2075 previous high level. Okay, So that's what I'll be watching, not only previous high but previous all-time high on the gold market. So that's what I'll be watching. If market closes below this level with strong momentum and gets a follow through, then I'll be sitting out and reanalyzing to see different patterns that will be occurring in the market. But that's pretty much it on gold. 4 hour, nothing much. That's the daily chart. So most of these things you're just seeing, I'm looking at the big picture narrative, okay, and seeing how market can react to this one. Another alternative, because when you're trading it's good to have different alternatives. Market can be in this downtrend, you're seeing we're respecting this, we can come touch here, get a very good buy position, but as we come up, market can bounce off this trend line for a third time and maybe move further down. So I'll also be open to watch that. But if market can push out of that level and move further up, then I'll be waiting, I'll be supporting the longs more than I am supporting the bears. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I don't have anything much. If you just look at an overview of the other pairs, I was looking at Euro USD. Euro USD has really been moving down, getting that dollar strength, okay. And if you just go to DXY before I come back to this one, you can easily see that move to the upside. You can see market has closed above previous COVID high levels, okay, where market had topped at 102, 103, and now currently market is at 103.7, 103.4, around that level. So we've had a very strong bullish run, which I'm yet to see how market will continue respecting it, or if you can get a correction along the way. Now back to the Euro USD. Euro USD, you can easily, one sec, Euro USD, you can see that market has been moving down with that dollar strength movement. So also this one along the way, market has really moved, really extended. I'll be waiting to see how market will react later on today, and maybe see if you can get a correction on that move. Okay, GBP USD the same. Market really fell, breaking our levels, our support levels. Here we go, and there you go. So market really fell last week, more or less last week, but one as well. We got that strong movement to the downside, and the market has been in that most of the dollar pairs have been seeing that dollar strength across the board. Okay, so I don't have anything much on this one, just an overview. Let me not waste so much time here, but that's basically what I was looking at on these pairs. But I'm paying attention. My two pairs that are on my radar this week are Dow Jones, which I'm waiting to see that pattern forming, and gold as well on the other hand. So that's it, guys, from today's analysis, this week's analysis. Quite solid, quite clear, but also when the month is normally starting, I want to see how market will react to things like NFP as well as interest rates, so that you can get to see who's really controlling the narrative, the bulls or the bears. So that's basically it. I'll see you guys next week. Nothing much from today, but that's it from my end. May the peeps be with you, may you enjoy your trading, and have a wonderful week ahead. So see you soon. Peace.